All right, so we are live today. And first of all, a very warm welcome to all of you for joining this roundtable, sparing your busy schedules. Thank you so much for that. And before I begin with introducing all of you to each other, let me introduce myself. So my name is Anvisha Shaha, and currently I work as an integrated delivery manager at Techno Exponent. Techno Exponent is a technology company who is really interested and has a lot of expertise in building custom AI solutions. Apart from that, we also provide 360-degree IT services. And right now, our team size is more than 400 plus in-house engineers. That's what we have. And it is my pleasure that I'm hosting this session with such a wonderful experts today. And I'm really excited for today's topic, which is generative AI and creativity in business. So without further ado, let me introduce the panel. So first, I would like to introduce Mr. Dheeraj. Hi, sir. He's the founder and CEO at Stealth AI startup. Then we have Navnath Kale. He's the founder of Transat. Hi, sir. Then we have Patrick Alexander. He's the founder and CEO of Vellum Bingo. Hi, sir. Then we have Yogesh Malhotra. Currently, he's with AWS, but he's a Gen AI veteran. Hello, sir. Then we have Mike Hopkin. He's the owner, business growth strategist at the rate Hopkin Profit Creation. Hello. Okay, let me just introduce, add one more person. Just a sec. All right. Okay, let me introduce another member as well. Her name is Trisha Bloom, and she's the founder and president at the rate AI Governance Group. And we earlier have also together hosted, she participated in one of the roundtables hosted by me. So welcome once again.
Thank you very
Then,
much. Nice to see you again.
yeah, same here. And then we have Syed S. Hussain. He's the founder and CEO at Liquidity Digital. Hello, hi. All right. I think these are all the members I can see. In case I mispronounce anybody's name, really sorry for that. And in case I missed out introducing anybody, please feel free to introduce yourself.
And we should just one quick clarity. So
Sure.
yes, I am the founder of Liquidity Digital, but we're actually coming out of of stealth with the with our newest project now, which is Shiza.ai. Thus
Oh,
I think the AI kind of gives away what it is that we're thinking about doing.
all right. All right. My apologies then. I think that's a brilliant. I'm very happy for the advance you have done. So just to keep the conversation very constructive, so I've summarized certain subtopics that we are going to touch base in this discussion. So I plan to start off with exploring to the introduction of generative AI to the audience who is still newbie to this buzzword. Then we will slowly transition to the intersection of AI and creativity in business. Then we can slowly transition to business applications of Gen AI, so some practical examples we can discuss about, and then move to the benefits and opportunities which Gen AI provides to businesses, and lastly conclude on the ethical considerations and challenges of Gen AI. So this will be our conversation flow. And what I will do is I will invite each panelist asking a question, as I call it, a curiosity question. And then I would like to hear your valuable insights on the same. And then at the end, we will also take some questions from the audience, and that can be answered by anybody who is willing to take that question. So without further ado, let's jump into our topic, which is generative AI and creativity in business. So, as a passionate AI person myself, I have been observing the significant impact of generative AI on business creativity. And I feel it is definitely a game changer for how companies going to innovate and operate in the future. And that's what we here are today to discuss. So, on that note, I would like to start our first segment, which is Introduction to Generative AI. So, I would like to invite Mr. Yogi to start off answering one of my interesting questions, which is what audience would like to know as well. That how would you define generative AI and what distinguishes it from other forms of artificial intelligence commonly used in business? So, what is your take on it?
Hello, I think all of you can hear me now. We've been working with AI going back about 30 years, inspired by the pioneer of what was genetic algorithms at Santa Fe Institute, Dr. John Holland at that time. And we were invited to guide the Silicon Valley venture capitalists about 1990s sometime. And we pitched our first venture, which was the world's first top digital site search engine social network, to Vinod Khosla, you might have known, for $1 billion
Hmm.
funding.
Hmm.
Vinod was not funding $1 billion. In fact, he had funded Excite for $300,000 that time. He was trying to sell Google to Excite at that time for $1 million at that time. Excite refused. Now no one knows Excite, and you know where Google is. I think the idea simply here is that Google came to us before the IPO in 2004. We were the go-to place for digital transformation. And then IBM came to us in 1998, Intel came to us 2001, and so forth. But the idea simply is what's generative AI? Let's kind of look at what is not generative AI. And I think that's a very critical question because most of the world is hung on prediction, data-driven AI machine learning. In fact, starting in 1990s, our work transitioned away from what was data-driven, all IT stuff. We are looking at how do you manage uncertainty, complexity, and dynamic radical change. And what we hear as black swan, extreme events, and so forth, we hear now. And we need them for weather modeling, defense modeling, as sort of financial modeling now. And the world needs to catch up. The
Hmm.
question simply here is data is old, decisions are new, and you
Hmm.
can have all the data you want, but say if the world changes in ways which is not mapping on the past, the more the variance, the more you're going to be looking in the rear view mirror and driving your car. And you can try doing that and you can know what the repercussions would be. Because what is generative AI? Think of it this way. Say instead of looking at one single response, you're looking at multiple responses. Now, this goes back to my work with the trillion-dollar hedge funds, going back to the financial crisis, what was called stochastic. Now we're hearing a whole lot of terms called stochastic parrots. Generative AI models are stochastic parrots. What does that mean, in fact? It simply means there's a whole lot of stuff lying on the web, internet, whatever. You can feed whatever resources you want. They will take all these resources and try to patch them up in some probabilistic models. And instead of showing you one output, they will show you multiple similar or different outputs. Now, where does creativity come in? The creativity comes in. I think this goes back to our work on building human machine systems on compliance, identification, intelligence. I will not go into that. But creativity, what is creativity? I think what is rule based thinking? You have strict rules. If the world is operating in a given way, static way, you lock it, automate it, and set it, forget it. That's what the world has been doing. In fact, even the OpenAI proponent, the cheaper, better, faster, same stuff they're pushing for Gen AI. But where Gen AI differs, and that's what we've discovered in the last, especially couple of months and last 1 year. And the difference simply here is these models are based on what we know as natural language processing, NLP. What it simply means is these models have some capability of understanding human written text, voice maybe in some cases, text to voice, and other areas also, the multimodal Gen AI you hear about. But the key point here is, I think what I found very fascinating is a lot of discussion on Turing test. That if AI has
Hmm.
met and
Hmm.
I so far said Turing test going back 50, 70 years, if it is relevant, say if you are testing some cars by using some test from 50 years, will you test your Tesla with using same test from 50 years ago? You won't. And
Hmm.
given the exponential growth in AI compared to car industry, I think what we are seeing in AI, those tests are meaningless anyway. But what I find very fascinating right now, based on the recent work we have done, we are finding that generative AI has surpassed the notion of you can't distinguish. In fact, they are creating generative AI models are doing such a fascinating work. I have done actual podcasts, panels like you. Okay. Now, recently I've done some Google AI podcasts with the Google technologies and so forth, and that output is phenomenal.
Hmm.
Nothing beats that. That's the recent thing we tried. But beyond that, we've been looking at some things in the area of defense, guiding the Pentagon Joint Chiefs over the last 8, 10 years in quantum AI cyberspace. But coming back to where generative AI is, two things. We are not talking about prediction based on math models. We're talking
Hmm.
about stochastics, which is the multiple outputs based on simple inputs, but not in terms of math, but looking at text-based data. And where that differs is like creativity. When you think of that, you go from text to image to sound to video, and that's where the creativity lies. But the underlying phenomena, which is still there, going back 20, 30 years, what I've been teaching my undergrads, compared to many different AIs, the neural networks, particularly the deep neural networks and transformers underlie this. So that's a very simplistic way. There are more technical definitions you can look up, but that's the
Hmm.
intuitive way we understand it based on actual applied experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much for answering for our audience. And I think you beautifully explained the definition of what generative AI is all about and how it has become a buzzword now, but it has been in the existence for so long. On that note, I would like to invite our next guest, Mr. Patrick. I have a question for you specifically. What is your take on the key developments which have propelled generative AI into the business spotlight in the very recent years? What is your take on it?
All right, thank you. And that's excellent question. Thank you. And again, my company, we do digital marketing, so I'll definitely speak from that perspective.
Yeah, right.
Where I mean, generative AI is blowing up. In being able to integrate social media apps, right, where you use it to generate content. To even yesterday, I was showing a client a website that we generate a website that we created for him, right? We used generative AI in like less than 5 minutes, and he was impressed, right? There's some other tools generating video, generating images. I mean, like, a lot of people out there are scared that AI will put them out of business, but there's, but it allows you to work a little bit smarter and not so hard. And we probably get to that as well in a little bit, but whenever you use these tools, you also have to verify the output that it's giving you. But I mean, it's I mean the leaps and bounds it's taken, and the fact that it can iterate so quickly. We also use it to generate. We have a tool that we use, for example, to run Google ads, right, and Bing ads, and that tool literally just creating ads, optimizing ads on the fly, and that would take someone monitoring those ads, hours to do, right? So it literally in marketing, it's definitely phenomenal. From generating content to send emails. I mean, it's a marketing gift. That's what I can call it, right? Hope I answer your question.
So I think I would like to add one more point. What is your take also on the adoption speed? Like if I see from a large perspective, like the way ChatGPT, as an example, which most of the people will understand, the way it became a part of our lives. What is your take on the speed of adoption? Is there any challenges to it?
I mean, the only challenge I can think of is ethical challenges, like what it's being used for. But yeah, GPT, so what happens with this platform, Ethan, like Gemini, and the module is that the resources behind it. So because the companies were able to put all of these hardware resources behind this thing, it allows it to take off, right? So you'd never hear about ChatGPT crashing or Gemini crashing. And the fact that they adopt, additionally, what makes it take off so quickly is it being able to integrate, right? So you can actually start creating tools. A lot of these tools that's being used actually work ChatGPT and Gemini, right? So the adoption has been huge and fast, and
All right, understood. Thank you so much for giving your valuable insights. The last question in regards to this subsegment, I would like to invite Navnath Kale to please address this curiosity question of mine. What is your insight that why it is so important for businesses to really pay attention to generative AI now? And what potential does it hold for the future of various industries, not only the tech industry, if I predominantly talk about, but any industry for that matter? What is your insights on it?
All right. So if you look at this, if you go back 2 years, when like December or November 2022, ChatGPT has introduced, and then immediately within a week, the people has grabbed the attention of what's about the ChatGPT, and then they started looking at the various factors of using the Gen AI in the application, and now everywhere the people are thinking like how they can use the Gen AI or probably AI to make a sustainability product, or maybe useful uh, use cases which can help them to adopt these new technologies, and the opportunity that comes up with this AI stuff. As the Yogi has mentioned, it's not AI is not new to the industry. It's far back we started with AI, but when the Gen AI comes in the picture, the lot of exploration has come up. The people have come up with a lot of opportunities and start looking in a different perspective how that can be used in a business, And now everyone is thinking about the unique use cases, which can be, quite useful for the each of the industries, irrespective of what the use cases are. They're just trying to focus on how that could save the time, that could save the operational efforts, and how that could maximize the throughput through adopting this AI. So I think that that's all about the things the businesses are looking for to get the opportunities and to see the sustainable AI in their business to for better ROI. And these are the opportunities that everyone is looking for their, irrespective of any business they are running of.
Absolutely. And I think, Mr. Mike, you would like to add anything to that before we transition to the new topic?
Well, actually, what I would like to add to is something Patrick said about, I don't remember exactly how you said it, Patrick, but it's taking over marketing. It's taking over marketing. And what I would say is it's pretty much anything that can be systematized and that is digital is being taken over by someone or some company with AI. And I think it actually creates great opportunities for us. To have things done so that we can focus on our strengths and our core competencies, and use tools, AI tools, to do things that were taking a lot of time that now can be done, automatically without us having to get our fingers in. And so that, to me, is one of the big things that I'm seeing. And I can't remember who was talking about how quickly it's happening, but it's happening very fast around us.
Yes, I remember one of my, just to add to that, one of my friends were telling that as soon as this buzzword has hit the industry, I think things are changing in seconds, if that's the right word of, if I talk about the magnitude of change and adoption that has come with this revolutionary tech, which was already there, but it came on into the picture very recently. But thank you so much for adding on to what Navnath already elaborated, Patrick and Yogi already elaborated on. I have a question specifically for you as we transition to the intersection of AI and creativity. So, just wanted to know what is your take? Like, generative AI is impacting the creative industry, if I talk about like designers, graphic designers, HTML guys. Now, what is your take that how art, design, content creation, if I talk about this perspectives together, what does this mean for those professionals in this field? Like, what is your take, like how these professionals should upskill themselves or how they can stay relevant even in the space of Gen AI?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, it's a question for you.
Okay, yeah. What I would say to them is it's starting to, I mean, there is AI that can do amazing designs, and you can just type some text and send it to it, and it gives you this beautiful design. And so what I would say to people who like designers, people in that industry, start using it. Find out how to make your designs better and faster. And that is where you're really gonna get the benefit from it. And if you don't get in and you're just like, I don't want to do that, I want to do my designs, and you stay away from it, it will pass you by and you will find yourself looking for a new job. That's what's going to happen. You need to get involved and learn about it and use it. I mean, I use AI in ways I never thought I would for my business. And that's really where the value is, and it's coming. Let's embrace it and use it and take advantage of it and get the value out.
Right. Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts. And to a follow-up to that, what you mentioned, I would like to invite Mr. Dheeraj to share his views on how do you think generative AI is redefining the boundaries of human creativity in business? And do you see it as a tool that enhances human creative potential, or as a technology that could actually overshadow humans also? What is your take on this?
So first of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity and for this great discussion with great network. So I think yes. See, whoever thinks that AI is something new in the market, but let me tell you that AI is been happening to us very silently. Even when
Hmm.
whenever your one email went to the junk box, the AI was happening. Whenever your
Hmm.
text was auto corrected in your phone, AI was happening. Only
Hmm.
Chat GPT when came in, we realized the potential of AI. So
Right.
that is the major difference. People think
Yeah.
that ChatGPT is the start of AI. No, it was already there. We realized the
Yeah.
potential with AI. Now, coming
Right.
back to a question, how about creativity and human interference can be there?
Hmm.
See, ge- generative AI and AI definitely will replace a lot of repetitive work.
Hmm.
However, human intelligence will still be required. AI will never take away your jobs, but a
Hmm.
person who knows AI can take your job.
Hmm.
Hence, AI plus a human have to work in hand. Though you're doing it, you're into creative job, you are in a mechanical job, you're in any IT job, any other job you are doing, you need to
Hmm.
have hand in hand with AI. Then only you can succeed, and that is going to the future. Now, let me give a small example. Like, let me take you back. Like, we were into Stone Age, we went into Bronze Age, we went to Metal Age, right? Evolution was
Hmm.
constant. Nobody stopped
Hmm.
there. That will definitely happen with AI also. We upgraded, we evolved, we went ahead. That's how industries have also, to join hand with AI and move
Hmm.
ahead. That's what I would say.
Hmm. Indeed. I think just to add to that, I think instead of focusing on how they can generate a logo using, let's say, Adobe Photoshop or any Illustrator, any other solution, I think creative people should focus on giving that instruction to AI and
Yes,
generating something beyond what they could have generated from basic
definitely.
solutions. Yeah. I
Yes.
think that's one way to go. Anybody would like to add a point to this?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
let me answer
Yeah.
real quick.
Go ahead.
The key opportunity for them is to it's like what Julius mentioned, where you master it, you master the AI
Hmm.
as a creative, you're the expert as well. And I
Hmm.
think that a real unique opportunity for them is to provide training. So you
Hmm.
master and you provide training for because people are going to want to use it, right? So
Hmm.
you become a trainer, a master and a trainer. That's I think it's a unique opportunity for anyone that has a skill that they think that is ready by AI because persons who want to do it themselves, well, you can train them how to do it once you master the AI as well. So I think that's a
Hmm.
unique opportunity for them.
True
I
that.
think if I can connect some of the points we've been discussed, I think Mike mentioned systematization. I think Navnath, you were mentioning about the business creativity. Some people, something I heard about marketing, I believe, from Patrick earlier.
Hmm.
Ogilvy pitched us IBM for the $90 million campaign here in the United States in 1998. And
Hmm.
Ogilvy is the world's biggest, most known marketing firm ever. And they came to us, we were the digital transformation pioneers. And Intel came to us, we were the for e-business architectures and Google for next generation search. More recently, ChatGPT has been a phenomena. Everyone has been picking on that. But I think we found some constraints there because
Hmm.
Google came to us. I said, why, how can we create something where people instead of going to ChatGPT will come to us? And we have pioneered some things. You can go to our free digital enterprise. It has been free for last 30 years. World over, it has been used, written about by people like founder of this Microsoft, Bill Gates, vice chairman of PricewaterhouseCoopers talks about it in a Fast
Hmm.
Company interview and so forth. But the basic idea is very simple. Think of generative AI, and when you think of that, the one thing which comes to your mind is hallucinations. Everyone talks hallucinations. Now, how do you distinguish hallucination from creativity? Now, there have been actual court cases here where many of these things have been thrown out, and
Hmm.
there's a whole lot of questioning that these AI machines or generative AI models need to be questioned. But no one really thought about how to create something so simple, so intuitive, which doesn't require any understanding knowledge, just like Google search. We
Hmm.
did that, in fact, last year when we launched a Meta Generative AI, Meta Search Engine, and it has been building on our first website, brint.com, which started when I was doing a PhD in early 90s. It was business research and information technology. We were the first to pioneer bringing these things together. We were the pioneer on BPR, other things, virtual organizations, all those things.
Hmm.
But let's come to where we are right now.
Hmm.
How do we make sure that if ChatGPT is hallucinating, how can I find a couple of other Gen AIs, top Gen AIs to cross check if it is hallucinating?
Hmm.
B, a lot of people are talking either search as one phenomena which we pioneered. Now we are pioneering generative AI and combination of search and beyond with our no build monetized models in AI quantum with the Air Force Research Lab Ventures, guiding Pentagon Joint Forces and so forth. But here, what we have done is basically, if you hit Brint, brint.com or AIMLexchange.com, Brint was basically the pioneer in data transformation. AML is the pioneer of AI, ML, everything going into the future, Gen AI, and so forth. Then there's a C4I Cyber. Basically, and there's a whole lot of discussion here in the USA among other countries, AI quantum supremacy. Going back 5-10 years, we questioned, you might have the best, greatest AI quantum stuff. But I, as a professionally trained hacker who trained the ethical hackers and for the New York State net admins and penetration testers, because I've been building cyber offense and defense programs, having spent about 2,000 hours actually cracking systems on authorized darknest for the state, going back 10 years ago, more recently as the AWS partner, I'm more into the cloud-based computing and so forth. But coming back to where we are, how do we make it so simple that if any of you who doesn't know anything about generative AI, no definitions, nothing, never heard of it, can simply go to a website just like you go to Google search, right? Hit Brin.com, go to the top form, write anything. And you will get choice of 3 generative AIs, including ChatGPT. Just click on the links. You don't have to do anything. And you can see the comparison, and that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years now. Okay? And we were the first to offer web-based, no login, search-based interfaces, multiple generative AIs in the world ever. We were even ahead of ChatGPT before they opened the web search recently. We were there 2 years ago. We were trying some other technologies that time, okay? And now what we offer is not only this multiple generative AIs in single interface, but also multiple top search engines. Therefore, just put in your search query there, you don't have to do anything. Type a term, type a search term, whatever. Now, we are seeing these generative AIs become very fascinating recently. What we have observed over the last 6 months, 1 year, earlier you had to enter very long, very specific prompts. More recently, we're finding out that if you enter a short term, small term, or phrase, just like you do in a search engine, they can spin up a very deep analysis, which was not there, say, 2 months, 3 months ago. Therefore, the key contrast earlier, as you saw between search technologies and Gen AI technologies, as far as the user interface API is concerned, where the user interacts, is that you needed small terms for search and you needed complex terms. Now they're merging there. And if you want to try these latest generative things, you can try those out there. And secondly, I think the systematic stuff, I think going back about 20 years ago, we have published some articles in Information Strategy Journal coming from Santa Fe Institute, which is the hub of Nobel Prize winners going back to 90s. The key difference is some of those people, very smart people who are lead programs at programs like Stanford University and so forth. They've been talking about 2 worlds of business. You can read up there. But the idea simply here is there's a world where things are similar, same. What we technically call structured, procedural, linear, statistically speaking. And there's a world where things change and change in ways you can't predict. That's where we have uncertainty, black swans, and extreme events. Okay. So there are 2 different worlds of business. For most worlds where things do not change very drastically, like public relations, press releases, analyzing legal contracts, for instance. More recently, even in the case of writing actual code and actually analyzing, diagnosing code for various vulnerabilities. All these things are a domain of Gen AI. Many of these things are still behind firewalls. Like as an AWS partner, most capabilities I'm building are not openly available in search. But the technologies which we have, we offer various Gen AIs, including ChatGPT, Perplexity, and others, which you can just access. You don't need to know anything. Okay. The simple idea here is any people, like going back to our people relevant, our students, teachers. The simple idea here is coming back from 1990s interview, 1998, 99, Fortune interviewed us, and I was talking about what we are doing, knowledge management, AI, whatever, bridging business technology, theory and practice, data and knowledge, simply speaking. And that's where we are pioneers. Fortune was writing about us in the knowledge economy special issue. Inc. interviewed me, and I think I'll relate that quote directly to what we are discussing here. In that interview, I was asked in very simple way, what's knowledge management? And I said, obsolete what you know before others obsolete you. And that's our foundation on which we are building everything. And if you look back 25, 30 years, what we've been doing, we create digital future. Now, we are not saying that. When we look back at everything we've been doing, I say, holy cow, the world has been catching up with us. What Wall Street was talking in 2011, I was being interviewed by CEO Magazine 10 years before that, and I was talking same things, and we're actually making practice. The simple idea here is think of it this way. 2 sides of human machines. If anything, you can set it, forget it, based on any pattern logic which machines can understand. You can put prediction in there, predictive AI, good enough,
Yeah.
But anywhere the things change, and some people say change is the only constant. And going
Yeah.
back 11 years after the financial crisis, I was writing
Yeah.
about these quant financial models, very complex models.
Hmm.
Change is the most important variable compared to anything else. And that's what's going to determine going in the future where machines are best, humans are best. And if humans are to be best, we have published 3 Google AI podcasts recently. You can
Hmm.
access from the signature file I sent to you, or you can go to my LinkedIn and you can see it there, or you can just type my name, Yogesh Malhotra, and you will see the YouTube page. We create a digital future. You can pull those podcasts from there. Those podcasts, in a very simple manner, without using fancy terms like hallucination, simply tell you what people need to do differently. There's a whole lot of detail underneath that, and there's a link there to a Lumen's circle where I'm guiding the faculties in these areas. If one wants to go deep into that, looking at technologies prompts, you can just copy, paste, plug, play using the technologies I shared you. So that's
Hmm.
actual hands-on stuff, not theory here. Theory is great, but you can actually do stuff, taste it, feel it. But thank you
Hmm.
so much. I'll stop here. Let others contribute. Thank
Yeah, thank you so much for being so excited, and you explained to the whole audience also. I think Navnath was saying something, so yeah, you can add the point you wanted to add. Hello.
Sorry, I was on
Yeah.
mute. Right. So yeah, it's regarding the creativity. I was talking about your question was more about the creativity. So
Hmm.
basically, this Gen AI, like I would say, it's not only uh, in the tech world, but the non-techy people can also use of this creativity. Like recently, we developed one platform like for the interior designer,
Hmm.
where they get the common users get multiple images of their just clicking on the picture of their the room and getting the decorated room instantly. So
Hmm.
it's just basically save the time for the audience as well, where they used to have the architect and to get the room design, having the 2 to 3 weeks to get the ideal room. But now because of this, all the image to image transmission or the text to image conversion, all these are making the life very easy for the non-techie people as well. So that's what I just think that this Gen AI is making the more impact on the not only in the techie world but non-techie worlds as well. So
Hmm.
people are starting aware of those, or adapting this Gen AI features. As you said, that a lot of people are nowadays using the ChatGPT. Not only the
Hmm.
programmer, but other people are started using that for the legal or other matters as well. You can see the impact of the Gen AI in a normal audience as well. So I think the
Hmm.
creativities are making more and more because of these tools, and a lot many tools are yet to come, which are more and more creative and making the more business impact on the normal audience. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for adding such a good point. And just to add from my end also, like sometimes I feel like now with this Gen AI, I feel like I can become anything. Like tomorrow, if I want to become a logo maker, nobody is going to stop me. Okay. If I want to become a nutritious expert, like I have a virtual large intelligence, which is always there to, constantly make me learn, and probably together we can explore a horizon which is beyond human imagination also. So that is really fascinating to me. So, on that note, let us transition to some practical business applications of generative AI. And I have a question for that. So, I would like to invite Mr. Shahid Hussain to address this question. So, my question would be, if you could, enlighten us with any case study or any real world example where generative AI has actually improved a business process or any outcome, just for the audience to get a practical idea of what we are talking about.
Sure. So, and what I'll do is I'll tie this in with some of the previous conversations that we've had as
Hmm.
well, and also
Sure.
give my take on this, which is
Hmm.
going to sound a little bit contrarian, but it's actually not contrarian. It's actually it's a culmination of everything that we've been talking about. But what we need to think about is what the second and third order effects of this will lead to.
Hmm.
Because up until this point, all we've been talking about is sort of at the baseline level where we are now, not where we're going to be. So when we talk about where we're going to be, what are the second and third order effects of this going of generative AI going to be? Look, this has been an evolutionary process to Yogi's point and to and to all the other folks as well. What they were talking about earlier is that AI isn't something that just popped up today. It's been around. I've been involved in this for the last 25 years now. So all the way back from the days of, Dr. Ralph Kimball and Bill Inman building out the data warehouses to get to, which then led to ETL automation of ETL solutions, which then led to this concept of business intelligence, which then led to business analytics, which then led to big data, which then led to natural language processing. So, and then led to transformer-based models, which then ultimately led to this notion around LLMs. Now, where most people are talking about are these LLMs, these large language models, and Yogi made the point earlier about having multiple models and being able to pick and choose from them. What's going to end up, what all of this is going to lead to is the speed at which things are coming to market, and that speed is something that humanity in general has no idea, has not have had any ability to understand how quickly that's going to come. And that's happening. That's happening as we're speaking. The world of AI was very, very different from when this conversation started to when this conversation is going to end. That's how fast these things are happening. So and then as humans, we like to sort of pacify ourselves. We like to say things like the famous Mark Cuban quote, right? That was said earlier as well. Hey, AI is not going to replace you. The person that knows the AI is going to replace you. Bullshit. AI is going to replace you. And I think as human beings, we need to acknowledge that fact, because what we cannot do is we cannot dig our hands in the sand, in the sand and say, hey, it's not happening. It is absolutely happening. It's an inevitability. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and that when is going to happen a lot sooner than what most people think. So then the question becomes, how is it as humanity we're going to position ourselves for this, right? We start moving away from this automation of tasks, these automation of processes, which is ultimately going to lead to the automation of jobs. So when you talk about a use case, let's just be honest, the most important use case that every single business owner, and some of us here are service providers, so we have to say certain things to pacify others, but the reality is that the most important use case that every single company, the sexiest thing, right? That everyone, and not just the sexiest thing, because generally the sexiest thing has been the ultimate vision. I'm talking about the baseline, lowest hanging fruit that people are looking for. Let's just call it what it is. What is it that these organizations are looking for when they call these things use cases, business cases, however you want to sort of, wrap this thing up to make it sound okay? Look, ultimately, they're coming to you. The best use cases, how can I save money? And how can I save money, right? Means, in so many words, well, let's take a look at your cost. Where is your most expensive cost? I'm sorry, it's the human labor. That's where the cost is. So that is where most companies are looking to attack. Now, then the question becomes, if that's going to be, and again, it's an inevitability, right? That will happen. As that starts to happen, we need to rethink the way that we think about what the future economy is going to look like. And what we're postulating here in our entire thesis for what we're building with Shiza is based off of this sort of, a lot of people like to call it dystopian. It's not a dystopian view. It's an inevitable view. If we don't do anything about it, it will absolutely become dystopian. But if the creatives, if the entrepreneurs that are involved in this take charge of this and say, okay, this is how this is how the future should look like, then it doesn't become dystopian. It actually becomes utopian, a utopian future. So that's where technology comes into play. So what we're positing is that we're going to shift away. Up until now, humanity has primarily been what we call a labor-based economy. All of our value, each and every person that's here right now, we are being compensated, we're monetizing on our labor. Now, whether that's a lot of times, most people think that labor implies physical labor, right? Physical labor is one aspect. It's a large aspect, but it's one aspect of it. The bigger parts of this are creative labor, intellectual labor, right? There's all of these different facets of labor. Like let's be honest. I'm looking at Yogi, I'm looking at Patrick, I'm looking at Avnath, Dheeraj, Trisha, all of us. If we put up our hands right now, we can tell none of us have the kinds of hands that are required for physical labor, right? That's not what we get. That's not what we get paid for, right? That's not what people monetize on. What we're monetizing on, in some capacity, are intellectual labor. However, that intellectual labor needs to be given in some form of an output. That is what we get compensated for. Now, the question becomes, if you start to have these, not just LLMs, but I'll also introduce a new term, which everyone on this call is wary of, which is agents. The notion of having these AI agents, which are essentially, think of those as being these demons, right? And when I say demons, I'm talking about the technical term for demon, DAEMON. Those doing the work, right? So that leads to multi-agentic solutions, automation of processes. As these things start to happen, people will have their own agents working for them. What we're saying is that we have to start thinking about shifting away from being a labor-based economy into a post-labor economics. And in that post-labor economics, the most important value becomes not just the output, which is the physical labor, but the input, which is the human intellect. So for us, what we're saying is that is where the vast majority, like we have to sort of reshift our thinking as humanity instead of placating to, oh, okay, well, AI is not going to do this. And AI, look, even the jobs that are being created by AI will replace those jobs in a matter of weeks, not months. Okay. And a perfect example of this is, if you guys remember 2 years ago, one of the things that was being paraded around was this concept of a prompt engineer. Oh my God, guys, look, prompt engineer. These guys are hiring 300,000, a year. You'll get paid $500,000 a year. You'll get paid. Guess what? How many prompt engineers are you hearing? You're not. You know why? Because there's something called chain of thought processing, right? That's been introduced, in which these agents are able to do that. And Yogi had alluded to that earlier as well, right? These things are only going to accelerate. So the question becomes not, is that doom and gloom for humanity? No, of course not. That just means we have to start thinking before, maybe 100 years ago, right? Knowing how to ride, maybe not 100 years or 200 years ago, 300 years ago, knowing how to ride a horse was an absolute survival characteristic that you had to know, right? If you wanted to be successful in life. How many of us over here know how to ride a horse? I can't speak on any one of your behalf, but I can certainly say I don't, right? And I'm doing perfectly fine. That is that mindset we're going to need to have. So we start to shift from the future. Envision this is going to be these digital agents that are working on your behalf, but then you need to have the ability to monetize, own your own AI, which is essentially the premise behind what it is that we're solving for, what it is that we're building for, with SHIZA, which stands for Shared Human Intellect Zonal Agents. Now, with that long preface out of the way, I'll give a very quick answer to what what some of the main use cases are. The sexy use cases, which is what we're engaged in and we're seeing. And if you look at it, I'll throw up one word: Klarna. Take a look at the Klarna use case with what happened, right? Where they went in and they were able to, just by building a ChatGPT wrapper, no fancy, multi-agentic solution or orchestration layer, anything like that, right? Just by doing that, they were able to bring down their workforce significantly, which is now leading people to think about, well, okay, I can build my own systems. So if I can build my own systems, why this is not only going to affect the human workforce labor, but also it's going to destroy industries. And I use the word destroy, not disrupt, right? There's a big difference there. It's going to destroy industries. But for me, I'm pro-destruction because destruction is the catalyst for creation. Without destruction, you will not have creation. So this is what's going to end up happening. And what each and every one of us over here need to be thinking about is not immediately what's happening and placating, but sort of the second and third order effects of what this is ultimately going to be. And this is where the vast majority of those use cases are coming in. And primarily that's around productivity, automation, right? But like I said, these are the lowest hanging fruit, and ultimately what they're leading to is cost savings, which means cutting away human jobs.
Yes. I think that's really interesting. And we spend a lot of time at AI Governance Group working with organizations. And we are a little softer in what we say because we've got between here and there, right? And we make a living by helping people get there. And what I wanted to say is we often really lead in with, hey, look, AI is a great tool, but really to make it effective and scale across your organization, you need to have a complete mind shift, right? And we are talking with leaders about the organizational mind, the O mind, which is the practical implementation of those agents. And right now, a lot of folks are using Gen AI as that. And what we're really saying is, yes, as leaders, as folks with intellectual capabilities, you really need to become a guide and less a guru, because you're going to need to guide not just your organization, but your agents through the next several years or several, maybe it's only a few years, but we do think that the future of leadership and the future of organizations is really an integration of Gen AI, other automations, other AI, and how humans work with those to be successful.
I think,
Trisha,
Trisha, thank you.
can I just add one point to that?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
So Trisha, you and I, we're in violent agreement with the convergence of humanity. And so this is what we say is there's biological intelligence and there's artificial intelligence, and that's where the future of the convergence is going to be.
Right, we do. We really believe in the O mind. We work with organizations to prepare and create the base for that, so that they can move into the next level of that. Get rid of all the tasking and start using your mind to.
Yes. The only thing that we will say, though, is as this convergence starts to happen, there's going to be consolidation. And consolidation means that less people are going to be doing those same sort of repetitive tasks. And so we really, if that's the instance, you can't solve for this problem by thinking about it in the current structure that's in, which is the labor-based ecosystem that we're in right now. It has to be where we're starting to rethink the entire paradigm of what finance is, what economics is. And this is where what we're doing is and our background sort of help us as well, right? So even though I look like a hood rat right now, I actually used to dress like Yogi once upon a time when I used to work for Wall Street, but those days are long gone. So I'm happy to state that I can wear the hoodie. This is my official uniform. So given that Wall Street background, one of the things that we're looking at is, really rethinking our existing economic foundation and applying and seeing what that technological framework is going to be for the future infrastructure of what we call economics 2.0.
I think relating to what Sayed and Trisha just mentioned, Sayed, I think how many of us know the labor-based economy, have actually worked with our hands and so forth. In fact, if you've heard of a company called Suzuki Maruti, I was there long ago as one of the earliest engineers, working with my hands, driving forklift trucks, and actually building the assembly lines on which the earlier cars were built, actually. And I was learning this, how to drive forklift trucks from some fascinating drivers. I still remember his name. His name was KL Ghai. Can't forget it ever. And next, I was also in DCM Fertilizers, food companies. I was building this coal-powered plant running turbines. I was knee deep in the coal fly ash there. How many of us have actually worked through the physical digital? I have. And based on that, when I came to this big three, IT, big three global financial systems, after that, got my PhD fellowship, went on to advise Silicon Valley, Wall Street, and Pentagon, and so forth. Where the big shift is, I think someone mentioned earlier, creativity is PR and so forth. Most of my work has been trying to connect the physical and digital, if we may use those terms. And I think creativity kind of comes there. The term is digital transformation and digital disruption. Syed mentioned not disruption, but destruction. Your comment reminded me of a very fascinating guy. His name is Shumpeter, one of the very well-known persons. In fact, I know his name from the citations. My R&D is cited amongst the Nobel laureates in AI and quant finance in one of those lists. Shumpeter is a very big name. I was reading up his work. I've cited him also. He called it creative destruction. Yes, we will see a whole lot of creative destruction going forward than we have ever seen before. In fact, it's already happening. Look back last year. Last year, after this Gen AI slope went up, what's happening, at least in the USA, all these 10,000s of cutbacks, they are fueled by AI, not necessarily generative AI, all kinds of automation. AI and Gen AI together can displace maybe 30 to 50% people, particularly people who live in the first world of business. The first world of business, where things are static, normal, they just learn one skill. The recent three podcasts which you have cut with Google AI, I would recommend are worth listening. The Trisha was mentioning, the evolution, I think that goes back to you better obsolete everything you know and move forward. I don't care chat GPT or whatever, because all those things will be automated unless you know. And I think there's a focus on that. What we've been doing is we span the worlds of academia, policy, practices, therefore coming from scientific method, how actually science developed, compared to how actually all of AI machine learning works. The key contrast you might have heard of in all math, statistical based models where a lot of my work has gone is all data mining, all machine learning is based on correlations, not causation. Now, that is an observation I made in one of the United Nations global headquarters keynote about 20 years, 25 years ago. I was invited as an expert in building quantitative methods and models for intellectual capital, human capital for global national knowledge societies at that point of time. But the issue being here, unless we obsolete ourselves right now, most of us will be obsolete. It doesn't matter what industries you're in. Especially, I think that relates to more what Sayed mentioned. Anything related to human intelligence, digital stuff, which is not touching the physical space. In fact, going back 10, 15 years ago, I remember I was working with the quant finance engineers back in the Wall Street and so forth. And the discussion was going on. There are plumbers in New York City making more money than many quants there. And right now, there's a big shift already happening. Already in the education academia, the degrees. Yesterday, there was a headline. The Canterbury Tales you might have heard of was a big time known folk tale. Every child heard about that. That university has gotten rid of its English literature degree completely. Now that's where those famous things came from, the Shakespeare and all that stuff. So there's a rude awakening happening right now. And I was teaching my this last fall on the courses on the future of AI machine learning. I was called in to build courses on that by the SUNY Poly here. And in that case, if anyone wants to look at basically the use cases, I would recommend go to AWS website, aws.org, Google Bedrock. That's the key foundation model. There's a whole lot of large language models, Google Bedrock, Google SageMaker, and you'll find tons of use cases underlying many of the very biggest companies which are disrupting, redefining the industries as we see right now. And I would recommend people now, on one hand, we are discussing a lot of this stuff, which is on the front side, user side. You don't need technical know-how. That's where my focus is currently on redefining the future of AI education, which relates to the AI, this Google AI podcast, which I've mentioned you can look up, which we have cut recently in the last few weeks. But if you want to get hands-on into the deeper side of things, I've also put online notes, which was a focus of my presentation to State of New York. That was last year, June. This year, June was on the next generation beyond the meta GenAI, meta search capabilities, which I mentioned to you, beyond hallucination. Last year was, we were discussing, people are saying AI will destroy everything versus not. AI doesn't have any agency. Humans have. Humans using AI can do a whole lot of bad and good things. In fact, going back to what Sayed and some of the others mentioned, we are seeing a whole lot of stuff adopted by people doing bad things, doing ransomware, doing fake deep fakes and whatnot, trying to steal people's money and so forth. There are crypto hedge funds, things companies have taken billions of dollars and gone away. A lot of stuff is going to happen. And the point simply here is how to distinguish the real reality. If it is me sitting here, my avatar sitting here, or someone else, adversary sitting here who's trying to talk to you, brainwash you. That is the nature of the web and social media, social networks, which we started building about 30 years ago. Issue here is going forward, the skepticism, realities of what real truth is, so forth, that's going to be just critical. In that, AI is going to still struggle because the truth of future, if it differs from what's happening in the past, and the AI is all based on past data. There's nothing, it can't look at the future, can't tell you future. If future is differing from what the past was, okay? That's where most people, creatives, whatever, scientists are needed. Therefore, we create a digital future and we welcome everyone to look up our research. We openly share everything with the world, for last 30 years. We don't charge a dime. And what we want to make sure is people look at this stuff at various levels, scientists, entrepreneurs, whatever, as they have been doing, and they adopt these frameworks of thinking. I would recommend, if anyone wants to see where the world in the future is going, start with the recent three podcasts, about 10 minutes each. They give a very kind of boilerplate, simple, and then go from there. Thank you so much.
All right. I think Trisha, she left. There was a question for her actually. But if anybody would like to take, this is a quick question from the audience. They wanted to hear from you that how can small and medium-sized businesses actually leverage generative AI without significant resource or technical expertise. So anybody would like to take that and address this question from the audience?
In fact, this is what I've been guiding the recent there professors trying to teach human resource management, writing strategic business plans. Look up that resource which is free online, Lumen Circles link I have given there in my podcasts, or look up my latest LinkedIn post. There's a link. All the prompts are there. You just copy paste and start from there. There's a whole lot of stuff there. Thank you.
I think, thank
Yeah.
you so much. I think Dheeraj was trying to
Yeah.
say something. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to add a couple of points here quickly for the cases for
Hmm.
small and medium businesses. So, see, if you
Hmm.
look at the small and medium businesses, most of the operations are still done in a traditional way. If you really
Hmm.
look at them, even if you
Hmm.
take at sales management, a sales
Hmm.
cycle, lead management, how they convert leads to customers, even they
Hmm.
in today's day also they are using maybe Excel and maybe
Yeah.
downloading the data, working on it using pivot, and somebody is making dashboards and they are trying to still it's happening. So for
Hmm.
small and medium businesses, you can easily use generative AI to streamline your work. Let me give you very quickly a case. Okay.
Hmm.
Let me
Hmm.
ask you a question. How well do you truly understand what's happening within the core of your organization? Very few don't know what's happening in your company. Okay. Research shows that 70% of the executives are so consumed in their daily demands that they lose track of the operational efficiency.
Hmm.
Using generative AI, you can really find out what's is the exact problem happening in a company.
Hmm.
Various department heads or various people will tell you biased opinions. But using
Hmm.
generative AI, putting on your
Yeah.
data, you really get to know what is the problem. So basically, we do health checkup, right? We check our
Right.
sugar, we check our BP. You can use generative AI to check your company's health. Literally,
Hmm.
it can give you a report saying which operation is failing, and you can really work on that operation and get it, acted upon. Generative AI can really reduce 40% of the inefficiencies, and they can boost 35% of your sales if you really use generative AI. So small and medium companies, they see basically the owners or the people are afraid: is my company tech savvy? Is my data going to be leaked? So these are
Uh,
organization. My data will be secured. I can use generative AI for my operations.
I think if I can add something to what Dheeraj mentioned, yeah, spreadsheets is a great thing. A lot of Gen
Yeah,
AIs, I think Microsoft demonstrated we can use that. It's a fascinating area to explore. I agree. But going
yeah.
back to the work with the biggest hedge funds, Wall Street firms like JP Morgan, I was teaching my students spreadsheet modeling, and they have made billion-dollar errors using spreadsheets. Now,
hmm.
going into the future, generative AI is much more prone to errors like hallucinations. Watch carefully, but there's a whole lot you can do. I agree with what Dheeraj said. Thank you.
I just would like to add one use case also. Since we are talking for small and medium-sized businesses, I think one of the business problems which came to me when I was doing some consulting, that the biggest cost this business was facing. It's a technology business, but they were facing is they were investing a lot of their money on bad developers, bad coders, and the identification path for them was a subjective opinion. So I said that this cannot go. This will only burn up your hiring budgets. So let's not go there. Let's put a number to the skill of the developer. Let's not go there. Okay, so just let them take a test, and the results will be given by a software also, right? So, and you don't need a fancy software also. You can do this with the help of ChatGPT only. You can just analyze the results. If let's say if you would like to put just one person to do that, and actually after doing that, they actually significantly reduce their cost of hiring and also how to make a better decision. And this person, he said that it was always in front of my eyes, because I was so busy into so many other things, I almost forgot how to analyze whether my actual budget is outperforming what I invested on. So yeah, this is a real problem, and I totally agree with what Dheeraj and all of you said, that small medium businesses really need to focus on how they invest their money on and what they're really getting out of it. It's very important that they should focus on that note. I would like to ask a question more related to challenges and ethical considerations of Gen AI. Like, what is your take on how do issues of intellectual property and ownership arise when there are a lot of AI generated content? And what legal considerations should businesses be aware of? Like, just a follow up to that question, that let's say, even if they start generating a lot of AI generated content, how will they claim ownership, or, that this is our thing? So, Navnath or anybody else would like to add any point on this?
I've written on copyright laws, intellectual property going back 1998 when software infringement copyrights were happening, Microsoft, Apple. But coming to where we are right now, different countries have got different copyright, trademark, patent laws. In the USA, particularly, everything which one creates, be it a musician or whatever, we've been seeing a lot of this stuff in the Hollywood industry recently. Where a lot of these people are claiming, even the very famous actors, world famous actors, they're claiming you like open AI ChatGPT. They had appropriated voice of, I believe, one of the very famous female actresses, and she was saying, "You can't take my voice." And similarly, a whole lot of stuff is going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think OpenAI has to back out there. And in this case, I think the simple thing is here. Right now, what ChatGPT, other AI, generative AI models are doing, they're taking aggregating stuff. If you take one specific voice, you can do a deep fake, all that stuff. Yes, you can do that. But that's one individual. When you morph many of these things together, different faces, different images, that's where all these technologies have been very good, even before generative AI. That's where it becomes ambiguous who actually owns that. But the key component is here where the copyright law, even the academics, ethics issues are getting where they are, is you cannot take something which is created by AI and pass it as yourself. We recently created a methodology specifically in the area of appreciative inquiry, which is a strength-based inquiry for building people in various domains, performance feedbacks, and so forth. And we actually automated that whole thing. Again, you can use multiple generative AIs. You can look at three different outputs, or you can write a draft and give it to AI and generate three different outputs. But the idea simply being you are not taking that one output and passing it. Okay, you are not only doing fact checking, you are correcting, you are adjusting, and finally it is your thing. It is not that someone's word, someone's definition. And plagiarism is going to be a big issue, big issue going forward, as you have seen recently in many copyright rulings, even the very high profile cases here. And I would recommend, make sure, going back to that human creativity, insight, imagination, intuition, creativity are going to be premium. In case that reflects there where you have a claim to ownership, that is yours, actually intellectual property, or otherwise, if it is not, then the claims are ambiguous. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My
Yeah.
take on that, and which just one
Yeah.
quick thing is,
Sure.
there's two aspects to it. You can either try to solve for it legally, using regulatory frameworks and legal frameworks. I don't believe in that. That's not what my job is. Instead, the way that we solve for it is creatively, and that creatively is by solving for it technologically. So what we're building, for example, and I have this discussion with my investors and attorneys and whatnot. A lot of people are forcing me, look, we need to get this copyrighted, we need to get this trademarked, we need to get IP, we need to secure this. And my take on that is that you guys are talking about something that doesn't even matter, right? Like, what is IP, right? IBM, and they have all these IPs. Who cares? What was the last creative thing that they've done? Instead, what you have is entrepreneurs like me that take on all this research that they've put in and all this money that they throw into it. I take a look at it. I'm like, oh, no, this could be done better. I take it. I built something. Go out and make money with it. Focus on if something that you're building, right? Like a lot of people, investors, they're like, oh, do you want us to sign an NDA? When I'm talking to potential partners, they're like, we're happy to sign an NDA. I'm like, fuck the NDA. What do I care about it? And if what I'm building is so easy for you to be able to manipulate or re-engineer or take and build something, then you know what? I deserve to be thrown out of the market, right? It's IP, all these protections that were there. The reason they were there was because the time that it took for you to come to market with it. So you had to have that some sort of protection mechanisms. Today, the time to market is decreasing, right? Where it's now, we were just talking about it earlier, right? It's a matter of weeks we can come out with products, right? Not years. If that's the case, then by the time my lawyer buddy gets all the IP and all these things secured, I'm on version 4 of that product, right? And if that's the case, why am I throwing, dumb money after this? So this whole notion around, my intellectual property. Now, there will be components that you do want to own, right? And the way that you solve for that is not through some kind of a legal court system and whatnot. It's through technology. Web3, that has been the promise of Web3, right? Cryptographically securing your own digital assets, the ability to be able to view the accountability, right? All those things that are there. So it's the convergence of when you start to take things like artificial intelligence and Web3 and then it becomes a matter of, okay, well, as that's improving, this is going to lead to another scale, right? It's going to lead to that you're going to have all of these AIs that are going to end up breaking. Okay, fine. Now that what you start thinking about is you start thinking about quantum computing, right? Quantum-based encryption that's there. So the point is, in all of these things that I'm talking about, there's no question. I'm not mentioning anything about legal, regulatory. That's for people that are a lot smarter than I am, and I have nothing to do with that. So you know what? Let those smart people make those decisions. I'm going to be the dumb entrepreneur who's actually breaking things very, very quickly. I believe in break things, build shit, and then ask for forgiveness later versus trying to stifle innovation through these regulatory and legislative processes, which, by the way, those guys will come around to it. It's happened through, but I can't depend on them to to tell me what I should be doing. I never ask for permission. I just do it and then ask for forgiveness later.
On that note, there is a question from the audience about biases, and I would request Navnath to take this question from the audience. Pretty much, I also had the same question around the topic which we started off. Was that what steps can business take to ensure that the use of generative AI is ethical and does not perpetuate biases or infringement on intellectual property rights? So, what is your take on this?
Right. So that's very important question, I think, because when you talk about the generative AI, it shouldn't be a bias. And if you look around, many countries have started writing legal or I would say the policies to say how the AI should be ethical. US, India, China, most of the countries are now having their rules to say that the answer generated by these AI tools, it should be ethical. It shouldn't be having any bias. Shouldn't be having any kind of discrepancies where it disrupt the any of the humanities or it do any kind of destructive works. So I think the ethical AI, all these rules should be get implemented while you are generating any kind of tools. Rather, you are using any LLMs or any kind of models. You should be making sure that your model shouldn't be biased. It should be ethical and should follow the rules of where you are publishing your product. So it should be a very much compliant, I would say, related to the region or the country you are operating on, and uh, everyone should that I think being an entrepreneur, you should make sure that if you are using any kind of AI tools in a production, you must take care of that uh, ethical stuff that as a part of your development. That's what I think. I believe, and most of the countries are now very much interested to see that they have the proper policies and the laws that control all this stuff.
Yes, thank you so much for answering the audience's question. Just to add to that, and I think, what Shahid and Yogi also mentioned, I think if I'm, talking to a virtual intelligence, right, the basic I would want is that it will spit out the hard truth. It will not be biased towards an opinion. It has to be very straightforward, logical, and give me some number facts, something which will actually give me an insight which I'm not getting from my human colleagues, let's say, right? Which are already, which the right word is the subjective opinion, right? Which actually can lead you to good and bad things at the same time. So let's not go there. Let's go to some, logical answers to it, and then take our call on it. So on that note, I think we are heading towards the end of the session, and I would like to thank everyone, whoever stick to the session till the very end. And the enthusiasm you showed in this session was truly amazing. I'm really glad that I got the opportunity myself to talk to all of you and whoever left the meeting as well. That this was something which I really got some variety of aspects also from Shahid, from Dheeraj, from Yogi and Navnath, and all the speakers who have shared their own sides. insights on the topic. Any last thoughts, everyone? If each one of you can
Sure.
give your final
I
thoughts
think
on
I
this.
think I would relate to bias. That's a very key issue. I think I would want to make sure all people working in this area are familiar with what's algorithmic bias, what's data
Hmm.
bias, what's model bias. In
Hmm.
fact, all models are wrong. Anyone who works says otherwise is not speaking truth. There's a whole
Hmm.
lot of work on model risk management, model risk arbitrage, which is the focus of our Princeton University invited presentations on quant finance modeling. They are available free to download. On the algorithms and data bias, I would recommend focus on balanced data sets and shapely values, which are based on game theory, which some of my undergrads have been teaching last year. Look up the
Hmm.
AWS for balanced data sets, shapely values, bias to know more. Going back to Syed's point earlier, I have been, all these companies like IBM, SAS, GE, they've been coming to me for the last 20, 30 years. All their
Hmm.
patents cannot save them. It's the creative destruction. And I think what I mentioned long ago in that Inc. interview, obsolete yourself before others obsolete you. That's what
Yeah.
will determine everyone's future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for adding your final thoughts. Dheeraj,
Yeah.
anybody? Yeah, please
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
I would like to say that unless and until AI is going to replace everything, what I would say is how can we as of now can make use of AI, right? The
Hmm.
companies, the small medium
Hmm.
companies, the enterprise level companies who are spread across. Even only India has 13 million companies who are active and operational, right? So,
Hmm.
and even
Right.
globally there are 1.27 billion companies. What they
Hmm.
can do, I would say, imagine a company where your people spend less time on routine tasks and more time on work that truly drives the business forward. Imagine
Hmm.
your team feeling more productive and more engaged and more aligned.
Hmm.
Generative AI is your partner in transforming your business, helping
Hmm.
you adapt faster, grow smarter, and achieve more. I would say make use of it till the
Hmm.
end world would go and shift to AI. I would say companies should make use of generative AI.
Hmm.
Otherwise, your competition will go past you. And there are tools
Hmm.
available. Move ahead, increase, grow your revenue. Somebody talk about money also, right? Eventually, it is
Hmm.
growth. Eventually, it is sales. Increase your
Absolutely.
revenue, increase your sales, make use of whatever tools are available, and go ahead in the market.
Absolutely.
I
And
think one
to
last point I would recommend, I
yeah.
think this is very critical. Very critical. In fact,
Yeah.
most of my work with Pentagon, where the national security focus on agility, as all of us do with AI. Don't forget resilience, which is security and sustainability, because those are the two key pillars. You might have AI quantum supremacy, but if as a hacker, you need to control everything, protect everything. I need to
Hmm.
find one tiny hole to sink the ship. Remember that.
Hmm.
Build these things together. I think AWS is very big on that, but I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
one final point I'll
Yeah.
say is look, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of different things.
Hmm.
For anyone that is in the market right now, first of all, what I would highly recommend is you have to unlearn have learned
Hmm.
because we're looking at a very, very different world and it's happening
Hmm.
very, very quickly, which
Hmm.
means that anyone with children, my recommendation, and again, I'll take on another contrarian position here,
Hmm.
since that seems to be what I do best. Uh, not just contrarian, but controversial as well, is if you have kids, don't send them to college. You're wasting your money. They're going to turn out to be idiots. They're going to learn shit that they're going to come work for me. And I'll say, you're not good enough because your mind has already been corrupted. The the mediums for education now are so, and this is where you can utilize Gen AI. This is
Hmm.
where you
Hmm.
utilize Web 2.0 and even web elements of Web 1.0 that are there. You have the ability to, instead of learning how to code the intricacies, understand the foundations of coding, and then tell the AI how to code for you, and then build those things out there. Go out there, build shit, break shit, and then ask for forgiveness later. And by the
Hmm.
time you've done that, you've realized that you're sitting on something very, very profitable. You're sitting ahead of where everyone else is. And to do that, you can utilize AI to do those things as well, which is
Hmm.
build the AI that will replace you. But the future is, instead of it replacing you and instead of AI owning you, build it in a way so that you own that AI.
Right. Thank you so much, Shahid, for sharing your final thoughts and Dheeraj as well. Lastly, Navnath, I would come back to you for the final thought from you for this session.
All right. So I would say, as Dheeraj mentioned on that, we need to adapt the AI before
Hmm.
it replaces many jobs. So being an entrepreneur whether it's a small companies or the big companies, you need to adopt the AI and see how your business can grow quickly with the help of it, without fearing that it might replace your job, or maybe it disrupt your industry. It's more about your assistance to help you out to grow your business, but it's your perspective how you are using it. That's what I think.
Absolutely. I think just to summarize, I think the two keywords which I could gather from this session would be unlearn and accept that the world is going to change. So it is
I
the
think,
new normal.
Anvesha, I
Yeah.
want to tie this up. There are two terms I want to throw at everyone. These are into our latest podcast. Look them up if you do not know. These are much
Yeah.
longer. They are before any AI was talking AI. One is
Mm.
called double loop learning. Second
Mm-hmm.
is called knowing doing gap. These are two key things around which all these discussions revolve. Therefore, any
Mm-hmm.
of the podcasts which you can pick up from what I send as a signature file, or I can send to you, send me an email.
Mm.
Those podcasts actually talk about these things. Knowing doing gap. All universities, yes, have that issue, and we are trying to bring schools up to the speed. They are way behind. I know that. And secondly, double loop learning. Most AI machine learning is way behind. Humans are smart. That's where you can beat machines right now. But we need to advance AI, and that's a quantum generative AI focus on my
Mm.
latest LinkedIn post. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. This is like the end of the session, but it was really a wonderful session with all of you. Thank you so much. And until then, we will stay in touch. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. It's wonderful talking to you all. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.